Hooty, who all my stock market gamblers? Welcome today. I'm Tall Mike. So glad you're here. What do we got going on in the markets? Well, this week is short week, right? The 4th of July. I don't think there's going to be much fireworks in the market this week. They'll probably saving those for next week. We'll see how that plays out. The crack up boom, we're continuing to go higher. We're continuing to make new highs, new record highs, right? And we pull back a little bit and then we shoot higher, pull back a little bit, shoot higher. This is a crack up boom, right? And we've been doing this, well, since October, right? But really, we've been doing this for the last, 14 years or so? Straight up, straight up. Now, what always follows a crack up boom? Well, think about it. 1920s, right? The roaring 20s. What followed that? The Great Depression. Now, depressions usually follow crack up booms. Am I saying we're going to get another depression? Well, I guess I am. I think we will. I think that this is being irresponsible, what we're doing with the Federal Reserve, printing unlimited amounts of money. Our debt is out of control. I think we're going to be topping out soon. Now, don't get me wrong. This crack-up boom can continue much higher, can continue to go up as they inflate. When they print money, the money has to go somewhere. Where does it go? It goes to the stock market, goes to the real estate market, right? The money has to go somewhere. They just does. When you print new money, the markets go up. Okay, so the crack-up boom's continuing. But at some point, the crack-up boom will come to an end. We'll get below the 20-day. We got a lot of room to the downside. Now, it's my take that this is going to be a generational top. One that we won't revisit for maybe 5 or 10 years. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Just my take. I know you moon boys, we're going to double from here. And then a crack up boom, very possible, very possible. What I want to talk today about, price distortions. Price distortions, okay. Price distortions occur in the market when the markets, when they're not free to move in directions that they should move, when the market's not free. Now, we have anything but a free market there. A lot of people think we have free market capitalism. Believe me, our markets are not free, and we do not have capitalism, even though they're going to try to blame capitalism when we do revert back to the Great Depression. Now, why do I think we're going to revert back to the Great Depression? Well, it's because of the banking system. Now, the banks, they have derivatives. Now, we talk about derivatives a lot. It's all they are is a bet on top of a bet on top of a bet, right? Okay, you got the stock, you got this double ETF, you got the option on the double ETF, and so on and so forth. Anyways, they want to come out now with Bitcoin double ETFs. That should be interesting, right? How long has the Bitcoin ETFs been out? About 5 or 6 months? I don't know. Let's get some doubles and triples, right? And then let's get some options going on those. You see, these are derivatives, and these are what banks make. They take your money in, and they gamble on derivatives, right? Now, there's it's estimated about 1.5 quadrillion, not billion, not trillion, quadrillion, right? I don't know how much that is, but it's a lot, right? 1.5 quadrillion. Now, just three banks, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citigroup. They have over $200 trillion, $203 trillion of derivatives, right? They don't have that much in assets. They don't have that much in equity. $203 trillion in derivatives. Bets on top of bets on top of bets on top of bets. Now, things are going good. Like in the crack-up boom, we're going to continue to go higher, right? As long as things continue to go good. But what happens when things go south? What happens when these trades have to be unwound? You see, at some point, you're going to need to unwind $200 trillion worth of trades with just 3 banks. Now, the banks, they're going to be falling over at this point, right? Because their trades went bad. As soon as their trades go bad, it gets out, run on the banks. They don't have your money. FDIC even warns that these banks are not solvent. They know that hundreds of banks are going to go down. Now, granted, I think they said it was something like They predict 64 banks are going to go out of business next year. All right, 64 for them. I'm saying it's going to be hundreds. And it's going to be like a domino effect. In the FDIC, they can handle one or two at a time, but they can't handle 10, 20, or even 100 banks at a time, even though they claim they can. Janet Yellen says we're in a very good spot debt-wise. She thinks 35 trillion is really a good number. Now, she'd like to see it go up and get to 70 trillion, get to 100 trillion. That'd probably make her a little happy, because if we're in a really good spot, wouldn't that even be a sweeter spot if we can get this up to 100 trillion before it all comes tumbling down, before it blows up, right? Now, I just got a letter in the mail. I love these. Okay, from my credit card company. Anyways, I qualify for more spending power. Isn't that great? I can go out and get more spending power. When you get those letters, you're not that dumb, right? You know what that is. They're giving you more debt. They're trying to make you into a debt slave. They're trying to get you to go out and buy stuff to help the economy. But your economy's going down. You can't make your payments. You're getting in debt. This could be why there's so many delinquencies on credit card rates. Credit cards, record high, 1.3 trillion, but the delinquencies, record high. What else? Record high. Interest rates on credit cards, record high. So we got credit cards, record high, delinquencies on credit cards, record high, and we got interest at about 30%. 30% is criminal on a credit card, but that's what we got right now. So do I think that we're going to hit a Great Depression when this comes tumbling down? Yeah, so anytime the debt bubble explodes, and it's going to pop, right? It's going to pop, and it's going to be the pop that's heard around the world. It's going to be a big problem, right? I mean, you're going to see people that aren't going to be able to eat. They're plain not going to have the money to do it. There's people that are going to die around the world because they're living off of the debt. And once the debt pops, they go away. It's kind of a sad situation. But let's talk a little bit about the price distortions that are being caused by us not having free market. Well, let's start with the housing market, for example. Never been more unaffordable. Everybody thinks we have a free market. We don't have a free market. I'm telling you, if you didn't print $35 trillion in debt, where would the stock market be at? Would it be at a record high? I don't think so. Would it be at a record low? Be really close, right? You take out 35 trillion away, be really close to a record low. Would the house prices be up here where Billy Bob got out? I don't think so. I think they'd be down here, back to where they were in 2012, maybe even lower, right? Now, what else did the Fed do? Well, what would happen if they didn't buy $3 trillion worth of mortgages? See, every mortgage out there is subsidized by the government, right? Freddie Mae, Fannie Mac, whatever. I got those backwards. I always get those names confused. Freddie and Fannie, we'll just call them. Oh, they're getting into that second mortgage business because they're not making enough money on the first mortgages, I guess. But these are government guaranteed loans. When people go under, we get to pay the taxpayer, but they don't, the banks, we guarantee them their money, right? So second mortgages are going to be rampant. They're going to be running everywhere. People are going to be taking out second mortgages, and they're all backed by the government. So the banks aren't afraid to make second mortgages anymore because they're guaranteed their money, even if the person doesn't pay, because then me and you, we have to pay. That's the socialist way. That's not the free market way. That's not the capitalism way. You see, $3 trillion are already on the Fed's balance sheet, right? Of mortgages. That's crazy. I'm not talking bonds. Bonds, you got another $6 trillion. $3 trillion just in mortgage-backed securities. If they had to sell those tomorrow, you know what it'd do to the housing market? Chop it in half immediately. Just chop it in half. We do not have free markets. You see, what we have is Keynesian economics, right? That's where government, they fiddle with things, right? They fine tune it, and the government thinks we can't live without, and the Fed thinks we can't live without. They think they're doing a great job by not letting the markets be free. Now, Austrian economics is the free market capitalism, right? Where the markets go free, or we revert back to sound money, which is gold and silver. And you may want to get some of that sound money, because when this thing goes bad, it's going to go bad really fast. Now, when's it going to go bad? Nobody knows the time. Nobody, not me, not you. Nobody knows the time. They tell you they do. They're wrong. They don't know when. They know it's going to happen. Everybody's pretty convinced it's going to happen, but nobody can tell you the exact hour, right? Maybe it's next week. We don't know. Maybe it's 3 years from now. Maybe it's 5 years from now. But I do know that it's coming, right? But they don't know the hour. But Keynesian economics is where the government fiddles with stuff and they micromanage, and they'll probably send out some UBI, some universal basic income, to get the economy going, right? But if you just let the markets work, the free markets, if you just free them up, they'll solve 90% of the problem. But you see, the politicians, they don't want that. Why? Why, Tall Mike? Tell me why they don't want that. Well, because they lose power, right? They lose power. They can't print unlimited money then in Austrian economics. They have to go back to sound money. We have to go back to where true money is gold and silver. What we have now is currency, a fiat money, and never before in the history of the world has every currency been a fiat currency. No currencies are backed by gold anymore. They just aren't. Okay, so what we got? We got all these fiat currencies, and all fiat currencies throughout history always go to zero. This is going to be no exception. I know, but Mike, this time it's different. We got modern monetary theory. We can print all the money because we got the reserve currency. Nobody's going to mess with the United States. We're powerful. Well, I'm glad you think that, and I hope that makes you sleep good at night. I totally disagree with that. This thing's going to blow up. We're going to head into a greater depression because of what your leaders have done to us. I mean, it is pathetic. It's embarrassing, and I feel ashamed for them being our leaders, and I feel very, very sorry for our country that I grew up in and that I love. But anyways, back to the economic side of things. Okay, so we got these price distortions in the market, and that's what's keeping your houses up here, and they don't fall. If those start to fall, they don't get their property taxes, right? If those start to fall, they don't get the re-election, right? If those start to fall, they got big problems because everything else is going to follow it down, right? The Great Depression. So they got to keep it propped up, right? And they got plans to do that with the little fiddling of the marketplace, but there's price distortions, right? Look at commercial real estate. All right, commercial real estate, San Francisco, some of those buildings are already selling for 80 to 90% of what they sold for last time. 80 to 90% off sales. Now that's a price distortion, right? Here's an interesting statistic. How many square feet per capita do we have of commercial space in the United States? We have about 14 square feet of commercial property for every man, woman, and child in the United States. Now that's really interesting. How much do other countries have? They have about 1.2 square feet. So let's just call it 1 square feet for the other countries, and we have 14 square feet. Now, do you think we have overbuilt? Do you think we've got a little too much? I do. Now, how come this happened? It's called price distortion. When money is held at zero, you got to put the money somewhere. Where do you put it? Put it in a big building. We'll build the big building. But these price distortions, they're everywhere. They're in the real estate market. They're in the commercial real estate market, the housing market. They're in the stock market. They're in the bond market. It's price distortions everywhere. If the Federal Reserve would just go away, Don't want to see them anymore. And the government gets back to some Austrian economics with sound money and let the free markets work, 90% of our problems are going to be solved. But nobody wants to do that because, yes, it'd be a little bit painful at first. It'd be, things would shift. Things would be a shock. So we're going to do it the hard way, right? We're going to just wait for everything to blow up, and then we'll start from scratch when everybody, is begging to be saved. Well, we'll bring in the CBDC. Like, that's going to save you. It's just another fiat currency backed by the government. That's not going to save. But Mike, we got Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to save me. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. I hope it does. Hope it goes to 1 million for you. Look, I love Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up and goes down. You got to learn to play it both ways if you want to make some money in it. The diamond hand people, they're not making money. They're not. Believe me, it's not going to end well for him. You can go with Michael Saylor, his micro strategies. I mean, he's levered Bitcoin. That's almost like a double ETF right now, a double ETF coming out in Bitcoin soon. But you already got ones called micro strategies. Right now, he's riding high, right? I mean, he's still up there. I guess his last purchase was up at 70,000. Now we're around 60,000. But maybe we get back up there. Maybe it goes to 100,000. Maybe it goes to 1,000,000. But I don't want to take my chances. That's gambling, right? That's gambling. Get to what's called the coin of the realm, right? That's what, if you haven't listened to this guy's interesting. Yeah, I like him. He's funny. He's kind of this old cagey guy. Ted Speaks, I think, is who he is. Anyways, you want to check him out on YouTube. He's got some great stuff there. He calls our money. He wants his money honest and anonymous. And that's what gold and silver is. Nobody knows you have it. It's honest money and it's anonymous money. This currency money, the CBDC, is anything but anonymous. They're going to know every penny you spend, everything you do. If they don't like you, they can shut that money off. Our country's in big trouble. That's just my opinion. But you got to check out Ted Speaks. I like his channel. Give him a thumbs up. Tell him I sent you. Why not? Anyways, if you like this stuff, give me the thumbs up. But yeah, I think we're going into another depression. That's just my take. I'm Tall Mike. Get out there, everybody. Have a great day. Punch the subscribe button before you leave, and we'll talk again real soon. Bye-bye.